In sports, the scoreboard doesn't tell the full story, but Netflix does. Stories about dads who happen to be world-class quarterbacks and a battle for the heart, soul, and direction of the multi-billion-dollar business of F1. Whether you're a diehard fan or you're brand new, Netflix has the stories for every type of fan. You can watch these incredible sports stories like Quarterback, F1 Drive to Survive, Untold, and many more now on Netflix.
Welcome to the Scarlet Supporters Pembrokeshire podcast.
Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Westra is Bestra. This week a slightly different format. I'm your host Big M and Lee G is unavailable, unfortunately. He is on his deathbed apparently, so wishing him the best. And he couldn't have picked a better week because this last Friday was probably one of the greatest results I've seen in my time, especially at Parker Scarlets. And it's going to be disappointing not having him to bounce back on with some of the things that we saw in what was just an incredible evening of rugby. And one that I know I'm not soon to forget. No one in the ground is soon to forget. And especially Clermont, not going to be soon to forget. Well, where do we begin? Let's just take away the negatives of the evening to start. Lee Halfpenny going off with the HIA early in the first half. Dangerous incident, red card deserved. No one's really arguing anything there. But we're just hoping that we get some news on him pretty soon, and it's one of the quicker turnarounds rather than the 12-day, or as we've seen with some of our other players, like Cubby, Blade Thompson, that it ends in his career ending. So we're hoping it's not that, and we hope that's okay. Next up is the big man, Sean Calamafoni, going off. Now, that was probably one of the most heartbreaking sights I've seen in a long while. He just looked as though that was the last time he'd played in that Scarlet jersey. Just watching him walk off the pitch, it was so, well, he didn't walk, he hobbled. He had a man either side of him carrying him off. It was really heart-wrenching to watch. And you could just see it on his face. He was fearing that he's not going to play any further part this season. Obviously, we're all hoping that that's not true. And we're hoping to see him back fit and firing, hopefully for the Dragons, and then firing into the semi-final against Glasgow. Now, into the match itself. Oh my God, what an atmosphere. I've said it so many times already this season, but if you would have not been down to Parker Scarlets yet, you have really got to get down there this season. And we've only got the one game left, the semi-final. It is on the... let me double check that date. I've already forgotten it. That's how excited I am. I'm bouncing for this home semi-final in Europe, first one ever. And I believe it is the Saturday, the 29th of April. And yes, I am right, with a 5:30 kickoff. So whether you play in rugby yourself, you got your game at 2:30, you'll be finished in plenty of time to get in your car, drive down to the stadium and really pack it out. Going on to the club website, the ticket sales are all looking very good. It looks as though the north and south may already be really close to being sold out. So, that's nigh on 11,000 tickets with over 2 weeks to go before the game. So, let's try and get this stadium packed out. Let's really make an intimidating atmosphere, because that's exactly what Clermont felt on Friday night. Because, both stands, north and south, singing in unison. Now, that is not something that generally happens all too often, or when it does, it doesn't combine. And it lit everything up on Friday night. You could just feel the buzz in the air. I'm lost for words to explain exactly what happened, to explain exactly what that atmosphere did for the boys on our pitch. there were so many different moments. So, I'm choked. I'm choked for words. That's how emotional I got. It was such a high being there, and I can't advocate it enough. I understand a lot of people don't live close enough to the ground to make the to be a season ticket holder, and doesn't create a lot of value for money. But if you're gonna get down there for an odd few games a season, this is really the one you want to pick right now. We're probably never going to have, well, not never, we're probably not going to have a home semi-final in Europe for another long time after this. This is the first one ever in 150 years. I know Europe's only been going on for 30 years, well, less than that now, but it's something special. It's something magical that's never happened before, and you've got to be there to experience it. I probably put this in a similar category to, the 9-3, the Australia 92 victory. This is going to be one of them games that people will be asking, where were you? And you will know. And I just can't stress that enough, that this is how important and this is how special this season now and this game is feeling. Back into the game. I started in the game and I've gone off on a bit of a tangent, which is not like me at all. So we saw some massive hits, back and forth, lead changing sides multiple times. There really wasn't anything left to give after that game. And you could just see it from everyone. They were absolutely knackered and ecstatic. I was down in S10 in the bottom corner where Ryan Combia scored that final try. And honest to God, all our hearts were in our throats, because as Tuapolotu flicked that ball out, Combia took that hit. It looked for all love and money that he was going into touch, and he just roared it and went over to the try line, and it was just amazing. Like these are I'm just using all the adjectives in the dictionary at the minute, because I'm really struggling to put together, structured sentences to how this game and just how it made everybody feel, because people I've spoken to since, people I've spoken to there, it was just so much euphoria, so much joy and happiness created by that. And that was only to make it 30-all. We still had that kick, that conversion, Sammy Costello, Costi, whatever the nicknames they're coming out with the boy. Oh, nerves of steel. I have no idea how he managed to pull that off. We were all there, all literally clinging to each other, hoping the disc goes over, and he just slots it so nonchalantly and just, casually walks back to his half of the pitch. It's something dreams are made of, and that's, he's written himself into, the Scarlet's history already with that, and he's going to be here with us for a long time, hopefully. I mean, I think the lad's only 22 now, and he is probably on form the best Welsh number 10. And if it was anyone other than Gatland in charge of Wales, I would be saying that he is going to be our number 10 leading us through the World Cup. But we don't currently know anything that's going on with the national setup, so that's another story for another day. But there were so many amazing performances in that match, and you can't just pick out 1, 2, 3. They were absolutely loads. I mean, just the fact of the boys standing up. I mean, Damien Pinot, Moala, Raka, below. These were some of the best players in the world. There's no two beats about it. They are some amazing players, and they kept coming and coming and coming, and we repelled them practically every single time. Our defence on our own line. I mean, we've spoken about our defence from the start of the season all the way up through to now, and it has just been outstanding. The difference that Gareth Williams has made since he's come in cannot be understated. We looked like we could have shipped 100 points if we were playing this game last season, sorry. And we've come away with victories based off our dogged defence. Because again, just like last week, we didn't play to our best. We were not close to 100%, especially not on the attacking side of things. But we still came away with our win. We still dug deep. I mean, we had two real kick aheads, and chase. I can't even speak right now. I'll have to edit this out. 3 of our tries were pretty opportunistic. Halfpenny and Costello both came from kicks ahead, and Johnny Williams was an intercept. Combias was the only try at the end that we really built on, that it came from phase play. It came from our hard work pushing. The other 3 were very opportunistic tries. So that just says something about the belief with the boys, that they know that they can grind out the win. They know they don't have to be playing at 100% or even close to it based on these last 2 weeks, and still pull off some really impressive victories. I think Costello got man of the match, and pretty rightly so. He orchestrated things brilliantly throughout the whole 80 minutes, and it's obviously I can't say what it feels like to be Dan Jones Dinky on the bench, knowing that when the game is that close, you just must be sitting there going, I'm not getting on this pitch today. So it must be a bit disheartening for him. But Costello has just been another level this season. He secured the number 10 jersey here. I think back late October, Patchell couldn't touch him. And he's carried on that all the way through. The only times he hasn't started is when he took that HIA, and he physically couldn't. He wasn't legally allowed to start. And then the one game that he was in, the 23, that he didn't start, was his first game back from that HIA. So this just tells us how good this boy is, and he's only going to get better. There were some really good performances, in our pack. Now, Sebastian, I do have to say, he has taken a battering now, 3 weeks on the bounce in the scrum. But in all fairness, he has hit up hard wherever he can. He tackles his heart out whenever he gets the ball. He carries as hard as he can. He tries to go for the pass. He tries little dummies here and there. I don't think I saw one on Friday, but I've seen him pull a few over the last year or so, and it's been really entertaining to watch him. So well done to him. And Ken Owens, hell of a shift. But I gotta give massive credit to Sean Evans when he came on. And I know I've spoken recently about the impact that Dan Davis has had on slowing down opposition ruck ball. But Sean Evans does that job exactly the same. And, those last 10, 15 minutes when he was on the pitch, he was an absolute nightmare to the Clermont pack. And he's one of the main reasons why McLeod was able to get that turnover right at the death. It's because he does that work. He does those dark arts. He is in there slowing ball down. When you've got someone like that, you mind as an attacker, look, I've got to get rid of this boy first. So you're looking for him, and you're not necessarily keeping your eyes out for what's actually going on. And that's what happened with McLeod stealing that ball at the end. So massive credit to the boy. He was only on the pitch for a short while, but he was outstanding for what he did. And another front rower, Kemsley Mathias, he is growing more and more every single game he plays. He is really, really hitting a good level now, and he's not dropping below it. Wasn't is the best game by his own standards this season, but it was still a hell of a shift. And then Wyn Jones comes on, and he really just solidifies things. It's probably still not his best performance, and he will probably say that. He probably still looks quite short of match fitness, which, considering we've only got 3 games left of the season and one of them's a knockout, well, probably 4 games left, I should be saying, it's quite a weird thing to say. But there we go. Another good performance, and we've been critical of him over the season, is Kieran Hardy. When he came on, he really bossed things. He controlled that game incredibly well. Gareth Davis, he had a good first half. Box kicking still not 100%, but that's always been a work on. But it was much improved from last week. But I do have to give credit to Kieran. He came on, he steadied the ship, he done his job. We go to our usual boys then, Fifita, Lousy, McLeod, Calmafoni, Joe Roberts, Johnny Williams, Seth Evans, all these boys, they put in massive shifts, and they all well deserved the victory. Special mention to Johan Nicholas as well. He is just one of these players that just slots in wherever he wants, wherever we need him, and he does his job without fuss. I mean, he noticed really early on, after he came on, that the only running threat that they were really offering were Peno. Everyone else seemed to just hit it up. And when every person in your outside backs is over 6'2", 6'3", and nobody 110 kilo, no bloody wonder why. But no, he was very smart in his positioning, and it was a very adept performance by him. And I still don't know where his best position is. It is probably a curse being that utility player. He will probably, I think he's racked up some like 50, 60 appearances for us already. And he doesn't seem to start that often because of his versatility. So, but I am expecting to see him now next week. Even if Halfpenny does come through, I'm expecting to see him this Friday night against Glasgow, just as a sort of continuation of this. Peel has been massive on keeping the same sort of 15, 23 together week on week, and Nicholas deserves that spot. He really does, and I hope for his sake as well that he's allowed to have that 15 shirt. Obviously not have a good run in it now because there's not much time left in the season, but with the incidents with Halfpenny, I can't imagine him being allowed to play this Friday. So, give that shirt to Nicholas, let him have a go because he done the job massively well. And now we're on to the last substitution. Another 2 substitutions in the forwards I'm going to have to mention because they were 2 massive 10 and 20 minute shifts. Morgan Jones came on for Shingler, with 10 minutes left. That added weight in the pack, that extra bit of grunt. Morgan Jones he's been this type of player that he's got all the raw abilities. It's just putting them all together. He's very similar in stature to Tag Byrne, I think, and he could be. I'm not going to say he's going to reach the same height, so he's going to be the same style player. I'm just saying physically to look at and watching him, he is that style of player. And, it was only a small 10-minute cameo, but what a cameo it was. He really adds a good bit of weight in that scrum to solidify it, and he put himself about and he got in some good tackling work and fair play. It was noticeable him on the pitch, even in the lineouts. Where we got Fifita and Lousy, usually they will be the ones who take absolutely everything. But, Moggs was in there, he was doing the job, and, credit to the lad. Again, another youngster, 23, I believe he is. And the last one I've got to mention now is Carwyn Tuipulotu, not just for the offload, but it's just the all-round game, the performance. He had a few games earlier in the year where Calmafoni was, unavailable for the red card, if I'm right in remembering that. And he had some really good showings. and this is just another one to back that up. It seemed as though it was a bit of a coming of age sort of night for some of these boys. Sean Evans, I know he's a bit older, but Sean Evans, Morgan Jones, Ioan Nicholas, Carwyn Tuapolotu, what they did on that pitch really solidified them as top end pros. They are, European standard at minimum. I can see, Carwyn Tuapolotu easily going on and winning quite a few Wales Cups if he continues on this pathway. And I don't think anyone would say anything against that. Some of the hits he puts in, his runs, his carrying, and he's at the beginning of his career. He really is. So it's an exciting time to be a Scarlet, and I am really looking forward to this semi-final. But first up, we've got a semi-final warm-up in the reverse of the fixture, where we are travelling to play Glasgow on Friday night. Now, this is going to be a really tricky one, and I don't know how I would play him myself, just because Glasgow have come off, a really, really tough win over the Lions, and they've still got ambitions in the URC. I would imagine they would be hoping of securing, top four, that home quarter-final place this week, just so that when they travel... Did they travel to Connacht? No, they're home. So they've got us home and they've got Connacht at home to finish their league season off before the playoffs. And, they're really hoping that, they'd have this top four secured, being as though, fifth place at the minute, I believe, is Munster. Yes, it is. They're 6 points behind, and Munster in South Africa for the last two games. So, Glasgow might not even need to win or even get a single point against us to secure this top four place, by next week. But at the same time, they are only 7 points adrift of second place Stormers. And, as unlikely as it is to claw back 7 points in two games, it is possible. So I think they might have one eye on maybe sneaking a second place finish and a home quarter-final and semi-final in the playoffs. So I'm thinking the Glasgow might come at us fully loaded with a view to resting their boys for Connacht. They'll see whether or not they can still have a mathematical chance of making that top two spot, and if not, they'll do the rotation then for us. And with Peel, I've already said he's massive on continuity and keeping the boys together. I can't see any changes other than the enforced ones. So Tuapolotu started in place of Callum Mahoney, and Nicholas in place of Halfpenny, and that is more or less it. The only issues come then who replaces them on the bench. I think Tom Rogers comes onto the bench for Ioan Nicholas. That's pretty simple. But with Carwyn Tuapolotu, I've heard from some people that Ben Williams is injured and in a boot, so that rules him out. And I'm looking through our back row stocks, and we're a little bare bones. So especially with Thompson retiring, Lozana going, Dan Davis already injured, and now Callum Mahoney looking to be out. So, having a look into our squad, and, I saw Ewan Shenton warming up with the boys on Friday night, Luca Giannini as well. Both two young players. It would be a really big game for either of them to come on and, get a bit of experience in. So it's, I think Luca's got one appearance. I think he's still only 18 years old, and Ewan, he's come from Cubby becoming a scouting sort of master, and he's one of the two players he's brought in, and he's played twice this season off the bench, if I'm correct in that. But, these are not small boys. They're both pretty big units. How tall is he? I think Luca is something like 6'3", 6'4", and I think Ewan's a little bit taller than him as well. So, these are pretty big units of boys, and they are, again, very young, but they're very inexperienced. So that's the one thing we're going to have to see what happens now for Friday night in naming of that squad. And if we look into predictions, I'm never, ever going to say we're going to lose. Even if, the bookies put us at 10,000 to 1 to win, I'm always going to say we're going to win. So let's have a look. Glasgow like to attack. We like to attack. We haven't been on top form, but we have been scoring tries and we have been grinding out wins. So I'm going to back us for another win. It's going to be a high-scoring affair. Ooh, let's go 28-26 Scarlets. And now we're into the community game, and I can't believe I just spent the best part of half hour rambling on about the Scarlets and Clermont game, and I don't think I've made much coherent sense to anybody out there. So anyone who managed to listen and understand anything, well done to you. Because I don't think I'll be able to listen back and understand myself. I know that for sure. We'll start on Friday, where there was some pretty big youth bowl, plate and cup finals. None more bigger than Little Langham playing Caerphilly in the bowl. Anyone who watched the game will know that everything was left on that field. These boys from Pembrokeshire, they really put their heart and soul, and they dug in deep and they worked till the very end. But unfortunately, the boys from Caerphilly, they just looked like they were grown from giants. Honest to God, they looked as though they were all a foot taller, a foot wide, and above 10 stone, bloody heavier. They just came crashing down, and in the end, it was just too much. And Caerphilly ran out 32-15 winners. Massive experience, and huge congratulations for them and for Langham just for making the final. Our only hope now is that these youth boys stay with Langham seniors for at least a season or two, just to, see if what they can do in the senior level, see if they can push this little village side forward and maybe even get them up a division. Into the plate, it was Buryport and Ammanford in an all-Scarlet region affair. Buryport dominated and ran out 41-24 winners, but with a lot of the Scarlets 18s in their squad, it was very much expected. And in the cup final, it was Carmarthen, Quins and Tondy, with Tondy running out the winners 20 points to 14. 3 big games, 3 big results. Well done to all winners and runners-up. It takes a lot to get to a final and, to perform in the Millennium. I've never done it myself, so, the pressure must have been something different. On to Saturday, and we had the divisional finals. In Division 5 final, Crumlin beat Ferndale 38-24. Brinkethin beat Nantaglow 19-15. Division 4 final. Division 3, Abertillery beat Vardra 34-27. And in Division 2, Morriston beat Aberdare 17-12. Again, massive congratulations for all 4 winning sides and all 4 runners-up. It really is a hard job to get there and to play. I know some of these community sides, it's probably the first time they've ever been in the National Stadium. I think it's the first time the Ferndale were ever there. So, for them to put in such a good performance, it's just massive for everyone involved. And as much as I'm not a big fan of these individual divisional cup finals, it is a good thing to get so many teams into the Millennium and play in. Just, build that sort of memory within your local club team. Into the Championship now, league action, and Narberth were in action against Maesteg Quins in Maesteg, and they had a very, very comfortable 42 points to 5 victory. It leaves them in a really good position in the championship. Like, we don't know what's going on with Llanelli dropping from the Prem. We don't know if it's 100% happening yet, but if we're assuming so, that means that, the championship's going to have 3 promotion spaces. And unfortunately, it looks as though that third spot is a little bit out of reach for Narberth. But fourth spot is definitely within contention. We got Cardiff Met, Ystrad Crosskeys, Narberth, maybe even Bedwas in that mix for fourth. So, last 8 games of the season now for some of these teams. So it's going to be a really, really intense run-in. This week, Narberth are at home to Ystrad, hoping to avenge a 21 points to 19 loss when they met earlier in the season. Now, Narberth have been on a really strong run lately, and I'm expecting that to continue. I'm going to go for a Narberth win. Into Division 1 West, a big game to start, Llangennech, Aberystwyth. Llangennech with a very, very comfortable 33 points to 5 victory. Pembroke at home to Gosainan, lost by 80 points to 0. That's going to be one that we're not going to remember for a while. Whitland at home to Pencloud was postponed. I have no idea why that is. We'll have a look and see if we can find it. And then Crymych away to Hendy. Crymych ground out a 33 points to 19 victory, and it keeps them on top of the table. It keeps everything open and interesting. Llangennech were meant to be playing away to Hendy last night, but that was postponed due to the weather, so this is just going to make the season even more condensed for them, and whether or not they're going to be able to fulfill all the fixtures, I'm really not sure at the minute. They've extended the season, but I'll pull it up by here because I've got it all in my little plans ready. But they've got 9 games left to play. And let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think there's 9 slots left. And they've got 9 games to play. So they're really, really going to be pushed. And that's if the teams that they haven't already arranged fixtures against can actually fit them in. They've got have to replay this away game against Hendy, and they've also got home games against Gosainan and Whitland to fit in. So it's going to be really difficult, for them to get all these games in. Other than that, Crymych are looking really, really steady, top of the table. Still level on points with Newcastle Emlyn in second. But, having not lost a game this season and the way they're playing, I'm still looking at Crymych being top of this table. It's just whether or not Llangennech can keep their run of bonus point wins alive. That is going to be the difference in this league of who is really going to come through and finish top. Because if we look at the maximum points available, Crymych and Newcastle Emlyn can both finish on 99 points. Llangennech can finish on 100. So that is as tight as it's going to get. It's going to be one single bonus point that could be the whole thing. And if we have a look at some of the teams left to play, Llangennech have gone Newcastle Emlyn away. They still got to travel to. They got to travel to Crymych, or the other way around. I keep getting this one mixed up. So this is me being me forgetting now. Where is it? Yeah, Crymych have got to travel to Llangennech. So that is going to be a massive, massive game on the 6th of May. 2 weeks out from the official end of the season. And we look in Llangennech, Newcastle Emlyn away, Crymych at home, Goward at home. These are all top 4 teams. It's a really tough draw, and it's going to, again, make it especially exciting to see if Llangennech can keep it up, if Crymych and Newcastle Emlyn can keep it up. Because, that there's a game literally 3 days before that Llangennech-Crymych tie, with Crymych playing Newcastle Emlyn at home, and that's another one that's going to decide, whether or not one of these teams is going to drop off. And, Crymych are going to do it all the way. There's no doubts about that. So on to fixtures for this week. Aberystwyth are at home against Hendy. After they lost to Llangennech, I think they're going to be a bit of a wounded animal. So I'm gonna back Aberystwyth with this one. Crymych at home to Whitland. Crymych won in Whitland earlier in the season. Whitland really haven't been the team that we all know them to be. So another win for Crymych there. And then we've got Felinfol and Pembroke. I can't see a win for Pembroke here. I'm really struggling to see a win for Pembroke anyway, which we've said multiple times throughout the season is disheartening, and they've had points deducted now. They're actually standing on -4 in the league. I can't see why. It doesn't state anywhere why they're deducted. It's just they've been deducted. So we'll have a little scope around and try and find out what that's all about. But that's going to be a Felinfol win at home against Pembroke. Into Division 2 West, and we had Fishguard at home to Milford Haven, and a tight game, a really tight game, 21-15, finishing in Fishguard's favour. And I think I backed Fishguard. I normally would in that scenario, so I'm kind of happy with that result. But no, a really tight game, and from the reports I've read, it was really a dogged affair. Tenby were at home to Buryport, and I'm going to tell you this result, and this is not the result of the round for me. Tenby won 52 points to 0 over the reigning Division 2 West champions. Now, if that is not a statement of intent, I do not know what is. I mean, we've spoken with Aled a couple of times. We know there's a good culture, a good coaching setup in Tenby, but oh wow, just the way they've taken hits. They've built themselves back up, and to go and do that to a team that went undefeated, I know it was a shortened season, but who went undefeated last year is just another thing entirely. And now for the result of the round, the three Pembrokeshire sides in this league have already been done with. There was a big match. We've spoken about Kidwelly having all these games in hand. They've only played 12 games as it is. And they played host to undefeated, top of the table, Ponta de Lice on Saturday. And Kidwelly ran out 31 points to 10 winners. Ponta de Lice's first loss. This has put a huge spanner in the works for this run in now. Ponta de Lice are no longer this undefeated machine. They've been tamed by Kidwelly, and it's going to be that's just massive again. And not only that, Kidwelly have got Nant Garedig in the final 10. They've also got Mumbles who were in this top 5. And Tenby. This has really opened the league up a little bit for Tenby. We've been saying that, we are kind of relying on results elsewhere. And this is the type of result that could make Tenby's season. Nothing to do with them, but it's really changed the shape of the league. We're thinking, now Ponta de Lice have lost. This isn't easy. And the way that the table's shaping up, Tenby have played one game more than Mumbles and are 1 point in front of them. But we've got Mumbles who've got, a bit of a tough run in. They have got Ponta de Lice home and away, and they have got to face Kidwelly as well. So it's looking like they're going to drop some points per there. Then in second place, one above Tenby right now. You've got Nant Garedig, and they're level on points, but Nant Garedig have got 2 games in hand. But Tenby and Nant Garedig have got to play each other twice. So these are 2 massive games now where I think we can honestly say that Tenby's future, Tenby's promotion hopes are now in their own hands. They have got an opportunity to really get these boys stuck in together and go, look, we've got 5 games left. They're not all easy. We got 2 games against Nant Garedig home and away. We have got a big one against Pontarddulais away in the middle, but we win all 5 of these games and promotion is ours. And that is very much what I'm hoping for. On to fixtures for next week. We got Buryport at home to Fishguard. Buryport will be looking to avenge that big loss against Tenby, but I can imagine they're still going to be a little bit down. Fishguard, having a good win against Milford. I'm going to back Fishguard by here. Milford Haven at home to Locha. Locha are always a hard team to play. It doesn't matter where they are in the league. I've always found that they're a quite aggressive side, even though they're quite low down in the league. Not as low as Milford, but I'm going to back Milford to really come out with this one. And the last fixture is Pontyberem at home to Tenby. Tenby run out 49 points to nil winners at home early in the season, and I can't see much difference this time round. Tenby for the win to carry on with a bonus point and really push their claim for a promotion spot. Into Division 3 West A now, and the first fixture from last week was played on the 5th. It was Haverfordwest against Pembroke Dock, and Haverfordwest run out 53 points to nil winners, so big result there. On Saturday, we had Aberaeron losing 13 points to 36 at home to St Clair's. We're not seeing anything outside of St Clair's at the minute. Cardigan 81 points to 5 at home to Langham. So, a double hit for Langham this week with the youth final and that scoreline. Lampeter and Larne was the big game this week, and this was one hell of a result. 63 points to 19 in Lampeter's favourite. If we were ever going to wonder who was favourites for second between these two, it's now firmly Lampeter with that result. Llanybydder 10, Haverfordwest 62. 2 big wins in the space of a week for Haverfordwest. St David's 21, Neyland 26. Really tight game, but Neyland obviously squeezed it out and got to St David's. I do like St David's. I think we all do. Got to have a bit of fancy dress going on, haven't you? And last game, Tregaron 22, Pembroke Dock Quins 39. So good win for the Pembroke Dock, and the table is really shaping up to be what we've expected for a little while now. We've got St Clair's, Lampeter, Larne, and if I can ever get this loaded up, and Aberaeron, who are all in this top 4 sort of position, but St Clair's and Lampeter have got the opportunity to really stretch and go further. They've both only played 13 games, with Aberaeron on 16, Larne on 15. So it's really becoming a 2-horse race now with St Clair's and Lampeter. On to next week, we've got Haverfordwest at home to Tregaron. Can't see anything other than a Haverfordwest win by there. Lampeter and Aberaeron. Now, Lampeter, massive win over Larne. Lampeter's only loss this season came away to Aberaeron 18 points to 17. So I'm going to imagine they're going to want to put one over Aber by here. And I can't see anything other than a big Lampeter win. Langham at home to Llanybydder. I'm going to say a Langham win because I love Langham. Everyone does. Who can't love Langham? Neyland at home to Larne. Oh, this is a tough one. Larne have just taken a big hit. Neyland have had a decent win. So I'm going to say home advantage is going to do it by year. Neyland are going to come out on top. Pembroke Dock wins at home to St David's. Oh, it's always a tough one, especially considering where they both are in the table. Pembroke Dock, again, they're another team that's had points deducted for whatever reason. And they are now one position below St David's, but with 3 games in hand. So they're both very similar, both lost 10 games. So this one's a really tough one for me, but I'm going to go St David's because I've already said I love St David's. Guard with a fancy dress. I know it's away, but it is what it is. And last game is St Clair's against Cardigan. Again, can't see anything outside of St Clair's in this league at the minute. And we have a couple of fixtures on Monday night, not really involving any Pembrokeshire teams, but the under 15 schools finals are building up and they're getting closer. And we've got some semi-finals in the Morgan Griffiths Plate. 7:15 Monday night, Maes Gwendraeth, if you can get there, is Cunnan Valley against Carmarthen Schools. So that's going to be a massive game, and let's see if we can get another Scarlets representative into that finals day on the 26th of April alongside Pembrokeshire Schools in the Lewis Miller Bowl. And I think that is everything for this week. I thank you all for listening, and if I have bored you out of your minds, I promise you I will never do it again. But no, seriously, it's been great to do this with Lee, and it really is. It's a highlight in our weeks. It's brilliant just getting to talk about the Scarlets, get it out there, and some of the people we've been able to speak to within the Scarlets as well has been brilliant. I do have to give one final shout out, and this is probably going to make some of you laugh. My mother-in-law is now a regular Westra is Bestra podcast fan. I don't think she's ever watched a full game of rugby in her life, but she listens to the pod. So, Gaynor, this one's for you. Thank you all for listening, and we'll see you again next week. Bye.
You have been listening to the Westra is Bestra podcast from the Scarlet Supporters Pems team. You can follow us on Twitter on Scarlet Pems, find us on Facebook with Scarlet Supporters Pembrokeshire, or email us on scarletspems@gmail.com. And remember, West is best, but Westera is bestera. Cheers.
Sports Social Podcast Network.